Hi, Prosperity Team. It's Dr. Money, your professor of prosperity, coming to you from the prosperity corner of the universe where silliness is sacred and nobody's perfect. There's nothing like an attitude of gratitude. That's a no-brainer. But what about another kind of attitude, and that is an attitude of attitude? We'll say, oh, he has an attitude. She has an attitude. So what's going on when we have an attitude? Usually when we have an attitude, we think that life is not fair, something is not fair, someone did something to us. It's a kind of a irritation, it's an upset with life. And I'm going to suggest if we have an attitude of attitude, then what we need to do is to just make a list of everything that's upsetting us in the moment. I don't think this should happen. This is not fair. Life is not fair. Whatever it is, the attitude of attitude. Now we might get, when we make that list, we might get down to one thing. It's like, I didn't really have that until X happened. So we need to work on that particular thing and forgive and work on forgiveness, work on changing it. So, but let's say that it's not a big event. Maybe there's just a lot of things that we're upset with, kind of a row of upset. So I'm going to suggest that if we have an attitude of attitudes, that kind of, I got an attitude, not a new attitude, not a good attitude, but an attitude, a bad attitude, then it takes not only a decision, but it takes a lot of work to change that attitude, because that attitude becomes an endless loop in our mind. It's stored in our basal ganglia back in the back, and the only way that we can change that and not just go into default with this attitude, with this irritation, with this negative stuff, is to have a decision that when we start our attitude, that we move into a new section of the brain, into the prefrontal cortex, where we can make a different decision. This is a new learning center. We want to move our thought away to the place where we have an awareness, and so that we can learn a new behavior, because it's going to be that attitude is going to be our default. It's our default. That's where we go all the time with that attitude. So we have to really, really want to change, because if we really, really want to change, then we're going to have to do what's comfortable. And it's comfortable for us to have the attitude, and not comfortable for us to make a change. So we have just a little brief time. Every time we find ourselves going into an attitude, then we can change that attitude if we do it right away. But often what happens is that we go off and start complaining and moaning and bitching. I call that bitchcraft. When we're bitching all the time, we have our bitchcraft, and we'll just go off on it. But if we can stop in that very moment we're getting ready to have it, no, and change it, we can begin to form a new loop, I'm going to say it's a prosperity loop, because it's a good loop, and anything that's good to me is the flow of prosperity. The other loop we have, the default loop, is, I'm going to call it a bad loop, because it's bad for us. It somehow it was developed to protect us, but what it really does is it gets us nothing. We can walk around with this angry, righteous attitude, that's maybe know-it-all attitude, that gets us absolutely nothing. So if you find yourself going into an attitude, then you can stop. Maybe you can use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. That's the method some people use. Go in and you can just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No! That means I'm going to do something different this time. I am going to do something this time, because I am not addicted to that. We really are addicted to that attitude, but we want to change so that we're not addicted to that attitude. Now, I don't know whether I can change your attitude or not. I know that sometimes I can change mine and sometimes I can't. But I know that the more I do it over a longer period of time, the more uplifted my whole consciousness has become over the years of changing things one thought at a time, one emotion at a time, one feeling at a time, until there become times that it really doesn't have to be changed, because I'm in a better space, or the time in which I want to change, or where I hang on to things, is much lessened than what it used to be. Let's take a few moments to breathe into our good. We enter into the circle of well-being with the in-breath. That's our receiving. And our out-breath is our giving, our intention that all others receive their good as well. Let's take a good breath in for ourselves, breathing in our good. And exhale, sending our wishes for good, the good of others. There's one more thing I'd like you to remember, and that is that I love you.